Welcome to the show. This is the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is where you get real clarity about retirement so you can build a plan that blesses your life instead of becoming it. We'll share what you need to hear to replace worry with confidence, protect what you've built, and actually live your dreams, not your fears in retirement. Let's dive in. I feel I need to clarify something. In the last episode, I said I've got my drink here, and the drink that I was referring to is a Big Money water bottle that's got a packet of Celsius in it. So they sell Celsius in packet form, and it's just mixed in water. But anyway, this is my go-go juice. This is my conversation starter right here. You know,
Right.
get a little caffeine flowing. You don't have any coffee though.
No, right now, K-Sky and I are actually on a cleanse. We do this like once a year or so.
That's so weird.
We're going no coffee, no sugar, and a couple things like that. No coffee, no sugar.
I would seize up.
Yeah.
I would have to be hauled into the office in a stretcher.
Yeah.
If I had no coffee. But anyway, so
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, 100%. I felt the need because somebody could be like, "What's his drink?" You know, but just a spray.
It is Celsius.
With some Celsius in there.
I saw him pour it in. It is Celsius.
So today we wanted to talk about what are the three biggest mistakes, and I kind of want you to lead into it. So, and definitely make sure you stick around for number 3. And I don't want you to tell people what the 3 biggest mistakes are, but you can start with number 1.
Sure.
You know, what, from your viewpoint, what's one of the biggest mistakes that retirees make as they're going into retirement?
Sure. A little spoiler as well. I might add one more at the end, potentially.
That's fine.
It may be a fourth, because I think there's another good one in there too.
Well, you've almost reached co-host status. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting up there. But I think number 1 is, I guess, hiring the wrong broker, because it's very different from working with a fiduciary. In the sense that, you know, the fiduciary has to legally put your needs first. That's number 1. And then number 2 is, you know, that's basically it. Just number 1 is putting your needs first. And then with broker status, they can find products that are somewhat relevant for your situation, but it doesn't need to be number 1 for you as the client, as the investor. So I think that's the mistake number 1 is how to identify and how to, you know, find and work with a fiduciary over a broker.
Yeah, I think if I go into the mind of our clients, I agree with you. That's definitely one of the largest mistakes. It can actually be detrimental to your financial future hiring the wrong person. But I think that most of our clients, at least, like if they were going to tell us why they're hiring us for peace of mind, things like that. But if you boil it down, the reason, why would you hire somebody instead of doing it yourself? I'm going to take a contrarian view. Like, why would I do that? Most people do it for access. Like they want access to different investments, different ideas, data, knowledge. They want access. And, you know, I know that we try as hard as we can to provide all of that. And we go to the ends of the earth to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. But if you hire the wrong broker and you think you're hiring them for access, you are just hiring them for access to commission-based products or commission-based mutual funds or commission-based investment ideas for high net worth clients. Like if they have an agenda and they are trying to pay their mortgage, and you honestly don't know what a lot of these brokers' financial situation is. They could be selling it because they need to do something for themselves personally. But I find way too often that families, especially whenever I was meeting with clients, I would have people walk in, they would have all their money in one product. And just looking at the paper, almost there's 2 things. You should try to educate. Like if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're trying to educate yourself. I commend you totally, because a lot of people just blindly trust. And
and that's dangerous.
It is dangerous, but you have to do your own research. And then you've got to trust the person implementing it. But I've seen way too many times. I'll give you 2 examples. One example, you know, there's a local firm close to here, and you know, they do Medicare seminars, and then all they do is sell annuities. They put 100%, and insurance products are okay. Like we use insurance products sometimes, but they put 100% of the client's assets into annuities. And here's the bad part. It's not the client with $1 million who's getting caught doing that. It's the client with 200 grand. Like somebody who's tried really hard to save for their family's future. Maybe they haven't made a ton of money. Maybe they got started late. They end up putting 200 grand into one insurance product. Not only an insurance product, an underperforming insurance product. It just conveniently pays the highest commission.
Yeah.
And
it's a great example of like why, you know, brokers don't necessarily have access to more.
Yeah. Now that gets me fired up a little bit. So anyway, I think regardless of I think you guys have seen me do this. You can't tell if I'm talking to somebody with 200 grand or 20 million. Like it's the same conversation, same type of access. We're using the same software, everything to do the planning. So I think that's one thing is you hire the wrong broker. And you hire a broker who literally only has one license. The first example, you know, is somebody who is only insurance licensed. That's a problem. The second example would be in the securities world, a broker. So I had a client who they saw all these gold, like the physical gold commercials on TV. They called into this broker/investment company. Not only did they buy gold, they bought rare gold coins. So let me explain the difference there. So if they would have purchased a gold ETF, like GLD, on the stock market exchange, they put in 400 grand, they'd have $657,000 today. They bought rare gold coins. They put in 400 grand. Today, their investment's worth $380,000.
That's crazy. Because gold has done really well. I mean, regular gold, you know, like the tickers that we follow, it basically has doubled in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So compared to this, I mean.
So how do you think that could have happened?
They probably were incentivized by some kind of commission.
Yeah, it was all commission. So there was an enormous commission gap. And the thing that fires me, and again, it's not really the $1 million client getting caught by this. This couple had, I don't know, 650,000, somewhere in that range. And they could, if they could have moved over the rest of their money, that broker would have sold it to them. They just had it all in their 401ks at work. But, you know, they got killed in commission fees that were disclosed. They were in the fine print. Like, it's not that they weren't disclosed. It's just that when they got the DocuSign to buy that investment, like, it's in there. It's just not talked about.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like, I already know off the top of my head, like a very cheap, low cost ETF that follows gold, and it actually invests in gold deposits that are, you know, held in banks around the world. And that's done really well. It's like doubled in 5 years. Gold's done really well, and it's very secure and at very low cost. So again, you know, that's like a great example of a broker that's being incentivized to sell something that gets that person a commission.
Yeah, and I think I've said this example before. The reason why you need to know if you're working, and the reason why this title isn't hiring a broker, it's hiring the wrong broker. Also, at the same point, I'm not saying that all brokers are evil.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are really good humans out there that are brokers, and I don't want to put that, you know, out there and just say, okay, if you're a broker, you're a bad person. But I have seen clients who have hired a broker and they've done pretty well. But the entire issue there is if you were, let's say you're interviewing doctors, you're like, okay, I want a new primary care physician. You go to 3 doctors' offices. You're like, all right, I really connected with Dr. Jones. He was great. And then first time you meet with Dr. Jones, he prescribed you Ambien. I don't know. You can say a random drug, Ambien for sleep. Would you be upset if you found out that actually he was a salesperson for Ambien?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he could be giving me that because it suits him, not me.
Correct. That is why it's so important to, number one, you should hire a fiduciary. That's just basic. But if you do hire a broker, you really got to do some due diligence.
Yeah.
Like if you know their broker license, like it's kind of the ball's in your court at that point, because legally they don't have to represent you. They only have to represent the investment company.
Yeah. The situation is really that you're on different sides of the table. You're not completely aligned.
Yeah. And in the in the case of the doctor, it would be like they don't represent the patient, they represent Ambien, the drug company. So it's just, I think eventually there might not, I don't know how much longer the broker status will be around. It's out there right now, but in general, you can make huge financial mistakes by hiring the wrong broker.
Yeah.
And it can literally be detrimental. I mean, I think about that family who put all that money in gold. If they would have met us 2-3 years prior, oh my gosh, they'd be doing extremely well.
They'd be in a much better position.
Yeah. I mean, the bar chart would be up and to the right instead of down.
Yeah.
Down and to the right.
Down to the right, yeah.
So,
yeah, totally.
All right. So that was the first example, is hiring the wrong broker. If you do hire a broker, you got to do a boatload of research. You should always read anything you're going to sign, unless you're like, this person is, I would trust them with my life. So I love the way that, have you ever heard of how the Navy SEALs recruit?
No, I haven't followed them a whole lot. I mean, I haven't researched them a whole lot.
I think it should be this way with your financial advisor. Honestly, you should have this level of trust with them. The Navy SEALs said, if I can't leave my wife and my money with you for a year and come back and everything be okay, you're not on the SEAL teams.
That's a great test.
Yeah. So they got to be able to leave their wife and their money with you for a year. And if they don't trust you to that level, I mean, think about it. You're going in combat with somebody.
Yeah.
Then they don't hire them.
Yeah. That's a great screen of character.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
I think so too.
That's awesome.
All right. What's mistake number 2?
Okay. So mistake number 2 is concentration risk. So essentially putting too much of your net worth into one thing. So how do you want to start on that? I do have an example myself that I could talk about.
Yeah, but you go ahead.
Okay, so there's a prospect that I am working with right now that has almost 30 to 40% of his net worth in Tesla, which is very interesting. And it's in the millions of dollars in this one position, Tesla. And so, again, it comes back to due diligence and research. Tesla is a fantastic company, fantastic brand, fantastic leadership. There's lots of great things about it. But again, when it comes back to the investment process, is it completely prudent to have that position at all? But also how concentrated you are in that position. Because I mean, personally, I do a lot of research on things like this, and I've, valued a company like Tesla using a valuation model that I've built. And it shows that even if they 10 times their earnings in the next 10 years, they're still twice as expensive as they should be. So like they're selling around 300, but it should be around 150. That's just based on my research and my modeling and, what I've looked at. But even so, I mean, you can take risky bets like that. But if it's a third or 40% of your portfolio, that's a lot riding on, one quite unknown idea.
Yeah. I would say I lived my entire life by this idea, which is regret minimization. And
that's a good model to live by.
Yeah. If you know that what you're doing in your financial, really anything in your life, but in your financial life, if you feel like there could be an immense amount of regret that comes behind it, then I'm just not even interested.
Yeah. And especially going into retirement with bets like that, I mean, you could lose a lot. And even if it's a really good investment, really solid investment, there's still a chance it can go to zero. Yeah. Stocks can go to zero. That is possible. Because a meteor could come out of the sky and detonate its headquarters, and it could be ruined, or it could be bombed, or who knows. Yeah. But there's always that left field possibility that something could happen, even with good investments.
Yeah. I think it's been really interesting. I know how much you do investment research, and that's really one of Luke's superpowers, but you've come across to my office before and been like, hey, Ulta Beauty is, now this is maybe not, he's talking about his personal portfolio, but he's like, yeah, let's talk about Ulta Beauty. Let's talk about Ferrari. I think you've bought some pretty wild stocks before, and even I have bebopped around the corner, and I'll give you a trade receipt. I'm like, I just bought.
Yeah. And by the way, Ulta's done really well.
Yeah.
Timestamp for July 2025.
Yeah. So I think that the fact that you love what you do, I mean, that just goes to show, I think, how much trust I have in you. I won't even like look. I just blindly go and
You should check it out. It's done pretty well.
well, no, I've bought it. What
Yeah,
I'm saying is,
Have you seen it recently?
yeah, I don't look at my,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't track everything day to day. I'm more of a
Oh,
long
okay.
term.
Okay.
But anyway, you've come across my office and been like, "Hey, you should look at Ferrari." How many times have I come across your desk with the trade receipt on my
Yeah,
personal?
yeah. I'll just be like talking about it in passing. I think this is really cool based on this. And then he'll come back to me showing the trade receipt that he bought into it. I'm like, oh, wow, cool. He believes in me.
Yeah, but I would say I mean, that just goes back to that gold example, the annuity example that I used before. If you over concentrate your net worth, it can, again, you can just lead.
Yeah.
It can lead to a lot of regret.
Yeah, totally. And again, we always come back to the plan. And, if you have this amount of assets based on your plan and all that, like this is going to get you and guide you through retirement based on these income sources and investments. If half of it is in something that could potentially go to zero or be eliminated completely from your plan, I mean, like that's going to impact you hugely when you actually need to live on your money when you retire, as opposed to, us younger guys that can continue to work and make up that money over time.
Another example of a client doing this, there's so much information out there today. Like, think about how much retirees are bombarded by financial content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I know some of our clients in our 60s have TikTok. Anyway, there was one client, they were watching this financial guru on Instagram and, had a large following. She got into his chat group. She put 1/3 of her net worth in a penny stock trade. It went to zero.
That's a great example of unnecessary risk.
Yeah. But I think that if you, again, blindly trust, especially somebody who's not a licensed financial advisor, you just, and she came to me like, what can you do?
Yeah.
Jonathan, I'm like, you bought it under your own free will. I mean, I met her post-trade.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't, if she would have been a client, obviously I would have told her not to do that.
Yeah.
But,
and you can't insure those losses either.
correct.
So even with SIPC insurance, which, lots of brokerage accounts are covered under that insurance umbrella, up to $500,000 per person, it doesn't insure against making bad decisions.
Yeah.
And those things going down to zero or going down a lot.
Yeah. I would also say one other thing that you need to be wary of, and a lot of folks have this, as an ESOP plan. And so if your employer is a large company, Lowe's, Home Depot, a lot of these folks will provide ESOPs. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people walk in and have their entire 401k in one security.
Right.
I'm like, the S&P is available
Yeah.
in this account. But if they would go in and make that change, but it's pretty common sense.
Yeah.
You look at your portfolio, if there's more than, Kevin O'Leary says this, more than 5% of your net worth in one individual position. It's okay to have 50% of your net worth if you're younger in one index fund, as long as there's.
Yeah. And even with that, you're well diversified.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying one individual stock.
Right.
If it's more than really 5%, I think it's.
Yeah. And even with an ESOP plan, and for those who don't know what that is, it's an employee stock option plan. So basically you're being given ownership in the company that you're working at. Yeah. So yes, you might understand that business maybe better than most as an employee, but at the same time, you need to be aware of your own psychological state, because you get used to being in the environment, but you may not know how at risk you are in the big scheme of things. You could be diversified across, 500 companies with, for instance, the S&P 500. But if you're at this one company, there is risk of things going, south. And so if you're in that, even just in that one company that you work at, it could just be too much for you.
Yeah. And speaking of risk, I think you ran into this recently on a biscuit in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. That's a story.
If you're gaining value here and want to take it further, grab a free copy of Jonathan's book, Retire Right. Just click the link in the description below or text BOOK to 864-920-3155.
So you had some not so well diversified drivers.
No, unnecessary risk. That's what that was. So anyone that doesn't know, in New Zealand, we have lots of terms that are different from America and how Americans say things.
You said you were riding on a biscuit. And you
Yeah.
know what I thought? I was
What did you think
do
that
they
was?
make like large bags of biscuits?
No, it's
There's South Carolina.
no. Here it's called a tube. So I was being pulled on a tube behind a jet ski, and we're going, being pulled around the ocean. It was choppy, and we're going, so fast. And anyway, that's the difference between a biscuit and a tube. It's the same thing. It's just the verbiage is different.
Biscuit sounds cooler.
Yeah, I mean, I like that better, but people have no idea what I'm talking about when I say that. But anyway, backstory is in January, I was in New Zealand, and I was being pulled on a tube/biscuit, whatever you want to call it. And we're going way too fast. I fell off, hit the water. And at that point, it's like concrete, it's like we're going so fast. And I dislocated my shoulder. Yeah. So now I had surgery to fix a couple things in there. And now I'm doing physical therapy weekly. So I'm on the mend, but it was unnecessary risk.
Before we took the team boating, I guess last month for Juneteenth because the markets were closed. And I did not know that whenever you make a turn, if the boat is going 30 miles an hour and you're making a turn, the tube is going 60.
Yeah, it's double. So if you're going in circles, yes, you might be going at like not too fast a speed, but you got to times that by 2 for whoever's on the tube. Yeah. So you're going pretty quick. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed throwing a couple of the team members off the tube. That was a good time.
Yeah. And
Luke skipped out on that, though, by the way.
Yeah, there is a legitimate excuse. It was my wife's birthday the exact same day.
We'll give time.
I probably wouldn't have done it either way.
I would have gone 5 miles an hour with him. I wouldn't have scarred him.
Yeah.
All right. So number 3, I think number 3 is whenever we were talking about, what we felt were the top 3 mistakes. I know you and I both hit on this and we thought it was really important. So
yeah, for sure. So again, tax planning. And a lot of the time that can be quite disjointed from the advisor that you may be working with. A lot of the time taxes aren't always brought into the conversation or brought into consideration. So yeah, making sure that taxes are accounted for, because that's a huge part of the plan.
Yep. So when we say taxes are one of the biggest mistakes though, how do you feel people can make mistakes around tax planning?
So when it comes back to investments and planning, it's opportunity cost. That's one of the most important aspects of investing and planning. So opportunity cost is like, do I choose this or this? And like a great tool that we have at our disposal to work with are Roth conversions. That's a great example of something that you can build into the plan and really save a whole lot of taxes, over your lifetime and your kids' lifetime too. We can jump into some of the numbers, but that's an example of one tool that we have. And if you're not aware or don't make those changes, that can cost you a lot in taxes.
Yeah, I would say going back to why you hire an advisor, you hire them for access to knowledge that maybe you don't have, and can they create a better result because of the knowledge that they have? I mean, in general, that is what the advisory world is.
Yeah.
Kind of like a consultant, right?
Yeah.
For your plan. So if you look at tax planning in general, I think a lot of folks just ignore taxes in general, but an advisor cannot control the stock market, right? There's no way for us to call up the Fed and say, hey, don't lower interest rates or hey, lower interest rates. We just can't do that. It's not.
I wish I could, but no, it's not possible.
We're not Nancy Pelosi, but anyway, it's not to get political. So there's only a few things that are in our control, and that would be fees. So how can we create the most advantageous fee structure where the client is winning and then we're winning as they do better? Taxes, totally in your control, and diversification. So I think that's where, as a firm, we spend a lot of time on those 3 things: fees, taxes, diversification. So mainly hitting on the point of taxes. You hire an advisor for access. So if you're a client who's got, over $1 million in net worth, it makes a lot of sense for you to start looking at tax advantaged investments. So if you don't know what a Roth conversion is, basically you could take a 401k, traditional IRA, 403b, simple IRA, anything that's growing tax deferred, that you got a tax deduction on it whenever you put the money in. When you take that money out in the future, you're going to have to pay taxes on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
You have to pay taxes on that money unless you do something called a Roth conversion. Now, a lot of people, they think they make too much money to do a Roth in general. They're like, I make too much money. But the limits are over 200 grand for, it's right over 200 grand for a married, filing, joint couple. So if you've made over $200,000 a year, maybe you think a Roth won't work for you. Well, you can always do a Roth conversion.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are not aware of that.
Yeah.
They have the idea that I can contribute up to a certain limit, but that's different from a conversion, which is really accessible or possible for everyone.
Correct. Now, when you convert that money to a Roth, what happens is you pay the taxes on the money now, and then you get all the growth tax-free. Now, when that happens, couple pros, you don't have RMDs when you turn age 73. If you don't know what an RMD is, it's a required minimum distribution. So you no longer have to, the government mandates that you, or the IRS does, mandates that you take money out of the accounts, even if you don't need the money, because they want the tax bill. Like they want their cut. When you pass away, now the money grows tax-free too. So no RMDs, money grows tax-free. And the third thing is when that money passes to your children, there's no taxes due on that growth at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you were going to take, in general, the way that we look at it is your most aggressive investments in your portfolio should be in a Roth. Because
that's the last thing you want to touch.
It's the last thing you want to touch. If taxes are going to be higher in the future, then we want your highest growth assets to be growing tax-free.
Yeah, definitely.
Blue collar family, maybe you're at 250 to $500,000 in pre-tax accounts.
Yeah,
like this makes sense for you. This isn't reserved for high net worth families. This is the average client needs to look at doing tax planning. But I think one of the things that I struggled with a lot of times was a lot of advisors just kind of tiptoe around the subject, which is why we hired Chris. As soon as we brought Chris in the office, Chris did taxes for 20 years. He's an enrolled agent with the IRS. Now he just has these conversations with our clients. So he can literally go through, look at their tax return, tell them exactly what to convert each year. Now, some people hear that. The thing is, somebody may have heard this and they're like, oh my gosh, I should convert to Roth. And then they go and they do it themselves. So I've seen that before. There was a gentleman who came in, who's a doctor, had saved a pretty good amount of money in his traditional IRA. It was right at $1 million. It was like $983,000. The year before, so I met him a year later, but the year before he converted 100% of his assets to Roth.
And since that is all taxable income, that had thrown right up in the
37% tax bracket.
Yeah.
So he paid taxes at 37%.
Oh, wow.
He did not systematically do them. One of the things that we've done is we've created a tax freedom ladder where we show clients exactly what to convert each year based on their situation that year. So, you don't bite the bullet, kind of like you ladder CDs, right? If you were going to buy CDs, you can ladder Roth conversions. So you can do them systematically every time. But two things happened with that client. He paid taxes in the highest tax bracket. He forgot or did not know there was a 5-year rule on a Roth conversion. So he was tapping into that money every year for income. So now he gets a 10% tax penalty on the income that he accesses. Because when you convert to Roth, especially if you open a new Roth IRA, you have to wait 5 years to access that money without penalty. So he got penalized for accessing his money early. He got taxed at 37%, and his Medicare premiums went up by $450 a month. He did not know that got added to IRMA, which is the Medicare income limits. So his Medicare premiums went up by $450 a month on him and on his wife. So a total of $900 a month. His expenses for Medicare for the next 2 years essentially went up to right at $12,000 a year, $11,000 a year.
Yeah.
So he made a $22,000 Medicare mistake.
And that's why you want to work with people that do this kind of thing every day, because there are a lot of considerations. It's not just black and white. It's not super simple. There's lots of considerations depending on your situation.
Yeah.
So, And also, if anyone doesn't know, the basic difference between pre-tax money, which may be in like IRA, 401k, and Roth money, Roth IRA, essentially, like a great saying that you like to say is, would you rather pay taxes on the seeds or pay taxes on the harvest? Yeah. And really, when you're paying taxes on the seeds in that way, would you rather pay tax now when you put money into a Roth? So you put it in now, you pay your tax, and it can grow essentially tax-free for the rest of your life. No more tax burden ever for you or your kids. But if you put it into IRA money or 401k, that's basically pre-tax money. It has not been taxed yet. When you put it in there, it does grow tax-free, but you have to pay that tax later on, which is a huge accumulating tax burden, which either you'll have to pay later on when it's much bigger, or when you pass it on to your kids, and they do have to take it out at whatever tax bracket they are in. Yeah. And they're probably going to be in their highest earning years when you pass that on.
Oh, 100%. I mean, one of the things that I think is extremely relevant is some clients hear this, or some, prospective clients hear this, and they're like, Jonathan, I understand that it's better off for me to pay the taxes on the money now, but they don't want to pay the taxes still. So one of the things that we do with accredited investors, which is folks with over $1 million, Chris on our team, this is also a part of why you want to have specialists on the team. Like a lot of advisors, whenever you hire them, it's just one person and an admin.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I understand that you do tax planning, income planning, investment planning, all that stuff, but it's just one guy.
Yeah.
And tell me how, if that gentleman has 200 clients, how is he going to do all of this?
You would have to be very good to be specialized in all the areas and take care of all of the admin and processes for clients.
Yeah, you have to have specialists. So I think that's one of the things that we do really well is we compartmentalize. So, but we all talk together. So we're like, okay, there's a planning team, there's an onboarding team, there is a tax team that goes through, there's an investment committee. So we have segmented each segment of the business. And then the thing that's not segmented is the Social Security piece. We just got every advisor, their national Social Security accredited advisors, which is not overly complex to do. But with our software, it's not, that's something that we can all do relatively easy. So I think that's the only thing we haven't compartmentalized. But if you are using one person to do all of this for you, even if they're a fiduciary, it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Like you need a team, you need a crew, like you need to look behind you and there's 15, 16 people working for you, implementing a plan like this. But going back to the tax piece, some clients hear this, they don't want to pay the tax bill. For accredited investors, there are tax efficient investments out there where they can put their money in. Like let's say you have money in a brokerage account, you could take money from a brokerage account or an after-tax account, get a tax deduction, and then on the other hand, you go in and you do a Roth conversion and you can virtually eliminate the two transactions. I know that going back to the access piece, clients hire us for access to stuff they wouldn't have access to, or information they wouldn't have access to. So that's one of the things that we really lead the charge on is how can we help a client while lessening the burden of paying the taxes now? Well, we can just use energy-focused investments to get tax breaks. So, I think that's really good for higher net worth families. And one of the things that I love is we're also so intertwined with getting our clients who maybe aren't accredited investors, they're passing those, the accredited investor exam. Actually, Amy just sent me a screenshot of that today that just passed through the house. So, for clients who have under $1 million, it's really hard for me I can't even really bring it up, right? Somebody's got under $1 million. I don't want to tell them about something that they don't have access to because of their net worth. But now they're passing this new exam where somebody with under $1 million can take a test, show that they're a sophisticated investor, and we can get them access to those same investments. And I'm sure as soon as that passes, we will have an entire template to give clients and say, hey, go take this exam. We'll get you access to better investments. So, if you're looking for access, that's one thing that we're really keen on is giving level the playing field. Like it shouldn't only be the ultra wealthy families get access to the best investments. Everyone should have access to these investments.
I totally agree.
So what'd you write down there?
Oh, just a couple numbers for our next point.
Oh, which is what? So is this the fourth hidden point?
Yes,
that I
it
know
is.
About?
Yes.
You sprung this on me. I don't even know what you're going to say.
Okay. The fourth one, I think, is interrupting the compounding process.
Oh.
For instance, getting scared and getting all in cash, like selling everything, getting into cash.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some key mistakes along, your journey. When you're compounding your money over, you throughout your life and throughout your retirement, you don't want to be interrupting the compounding process.
Yeah.
For instance, making those fear-based decisions. And that's why you want to be working with someone that does this every day, to make sure that you have the confidence that you're in the right stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I mean, the average rate of return that you can make over your lifetime, using reasonable ranges, I mean, it can really mean a lot, and people don't really realize the magic of it. Like Einstein said, it was the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
Because it truly is. When you think of like long enough timelines, like for instance, over 40 years, if you were making 7% per year, on average, that's about 4 doubles in your money over that time period.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if anyone's heard of the rule of 72. It's like a rule that us investment geeks use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but basically if you make 7% per year, how many sevens fit into 72? That's about 10. Yeah. So basically your money's going to double every 10 years.
Yeah. And it works vice versa. If you make 10% per year, your money doubles every 7.2 years.
Exactly. So using those two examples, if I was making on average 7% per year, that would double 4 times in 40 years. So if I had $250,000, like in this situation, 250 would turn into 500,000, and then 1 million, then 2 million, and then 4 million. So that's meaningful.
Yeah.
And if it was 10% per year on average, how meaningful that can be is 6 doubles in 40 years. So 250 would turn into 500,000. 1 million, 2 million, 4 million, 8 million, 16 million.
Oh my God.
So it doesn't sound very exciting, the percentage difference, or it doesn't seem super meaningful, but over long periods of time, it can make, so much more money for you over the long haul. Yeah. And a big mistake people make is interrupting that process.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens that may be scary in the economy, or then they're not sure what investments they're in, they're more likely to sell at the wrong times when it looks scary. Mm-hmm. They get all into cash, and then they miss those positive upside moments.
Yeah.
So again, interrupting the compounding process is a big mistake.
Yeah. Well, I think that why it's hard for a lot of families to stick to their guns on that is money's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It's a layer of safety. I'm heavy safety driven, so I equate money to safety and freedom. It's not really like...
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Money is freedom. It's choice,
Yeah. It doesn't make you happy, but it does give you the freedom to figure out what will make you happy.
Yeah.
So I think that if you go back to the interrupting compounding, clients have to have coaching. Mm-hmm. Like as an advisor, you're a consultant really. So you have to consult with them in a way that it makes sense. So, one of the things that I do whenever I talk about the growth bucket, because we've talked about the bucketing strategy before, obviously if you're 60 years old, you should have anywhere from 40 to 60% of your assets that are totally safe. You shouldn't have to worry about the stock market going down in that bucket of money. Well, for the remainder of the money, whatever portion you're okay with being in the stock market, obviously based on prior returns, that money will make more. But now you have to have the mental toughness to hold on through a down market. Mm. So one of the examples that I love to use is the winter coat. So this is for clients who, maybe they struggle with, have you ever heard this line? Oh, I lost half of my money in 2008. Have you ever heard that? Like I lost.
Yeah. People say that all the time.
Yeah. Well, you can't lose a share if you don't sell it.
Yeah.
So I use this winter coat example. So let's say, if you're familiar with Greenville, let's say you're on Woodruff Road, okay, in Greenville, which is one of the busiest roads in Greenville. I mean, it's like the main road, I guess you would say. If you're on Woodruff Road in the middle of the summer and for some reason 2 stoplights go out and no cars can move, and you have this nice big winter coat and everyone's stuck and everyone's outside of their cars, and you pop out with this winter coat and you want to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
no one is going to want to
No.
buy your winter coat in the blazing heat of the summer.
Yeah, just because of the season.
Just because of the season. But if you look at, okay, let's say we're on Woodruff Road in the middle of the winter, and for some reason we get some crazy snowstorm and 2 feet of snow drops. 2 feet, sorry. 2 feet of snow drop. If that were to happen, and then you have that same winter coat, and all the cars are broke down, and everyone's run out of gas, and you want to sell that winter coat,
That's the right season.
people would be fighting for that coat. They would give you all the money in their pocket, especially if, their child was cold or whatever. You don't know what their situation would be. So the share price of a stock is always worth what someone's willing to pay for it. It's driven off of fear and greed, and those come in seasons. And as long as you know, in the winter coat example, if you didn't sell the coat in the middle of the summer, you just kept it in your trunk, and the same situation came along in the winter, as long as you didn't sell it, because in the summer you could just throw it on the side of the road and no one would buy it. But in the middle of the winter, someone would buy it. That's seasonality.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in the stock market.
Totally. I mean, you still own a valuable asset. And what's even better about owning stocks is that they produce profits and they actually pay that to you in dividends and share buybacks. It's a machine that's making you money. So yes, they can fall in and out of favor. People can feel, the masses can feel different about the stock market at different times. It's just because of the overall tone, and that can be self-fulfilling as well. Everyone gets scared. Everyone gets hyped up. It's just the season.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I love to do is include in someone's portfolio not only index funds, but if there is a space for individual stocks, you help them buy where they shop. So if someone regularly uses their iPhone, their iPad, their Apple Watch, why don't we buy Apple? Why don't you buy what you already own? You become a part owner of this company. If you love Costco, even though they don't give you bags and they make you pick your own boxes, which is absolutely insane, and people still go there every day and the parking lot's packed out. If you love Costco, why don't we just buy Costco?
Yeah, that was one of Peter Lynch's major investing principles, and one of the best to live by, which is to know what you own. Don't go out there throwing it all at something that you have no idea how it works, or you don't understand it at all. You can understand a Costco. You understand the value proposition. You understand, the product. You understand what they do, and they're probably going to be around for a very long time doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to not interrupt compounding if you are owning where you shop. Or you're owning the stocks that you shop at those same places. It's so much easier mentally to, go through the waves. It's okay, in a down market, I am still buying toilet paper from Costco.
Yeah.
And they're 48 packs of water.
Yeah.
It's just happening.
Yeah, and they drive more and more value to people every year. They make things, in general, cheap as they possibly can. They open 3 to 4% of new stores per year. They're constantly paying out, those profits. And so it's just a compounding machine. That's a great example of a great business.
Yeah.
That's in some of our model portfolios as well.
And I would say a good advisor will help you not, you hire them for the access to the information, the data, all of that, but also it's an ongoing relationship. So if, for instance, I got a call and let's say one of my larger clients wanted to, liquidate $500,000 of their portfolio, I would never ask them what it's for. That's intrusive.
Yeah. It is their money.
Always. It is always 100%. Their money. But if it were in a recessionary period, then I would ask, are you liquidating because of the markets? And if they said yes, a good advisor they'll talk them off the ledge. They'll make sure they're not going to do something, or at least give them the information to know that they're not doing something that's going to
provide them with the information for them to make that educated decision. Because if you don't fully understand what you're in, and a lot of people don't, and that's completely fine because it can be complex. That's why you work with advisors. But that makes you vulnerable to making fear-based decisions in the worst times.
It would kind of be the same thing as, if I were going to hire a personal trainer, I would hope if I ran into that personal trainer and I was eating at cookout and I had 5 cookout trays around me and I told him I wanted to be, 8% body fat, he'd be like, Jonathan, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want an advisor who will challenge you more than you've ever been challenged, but also support you more than you've ever been supported.
Yeah. And that's what we live by.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, that's an internal value of ours. But I think that when you know that you have the client's best interest in mind, you can say things like that. Like, hey, let's not. Yeah. You can revert the ship. But I think you have to have an advisor you don't want a yes man. A yes man's just looking to get fees. A yes man's just looking to sell something. Us, on the other hand, we're trying to grow their assets as much as we can, allow them to live a life that fulfills their dreams, not their worries in retirement, So, Luke, how far are we into this?
How far are we in? Time
50 minutes, and we are only going to continue to go deeper on this. So
time flies on this podcast.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Thanks for watching episode 3 of the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. We hope that everyone out there listening right now is thinking about how you can live your dreams, not your worries in retirement. And if you want to pick up a copy of my book, I have a book all on how to retire right. It's literally called Retire Right, Your Guide to a Successful and Fulfilling Retirement. So I think it's down in the show notes below. Click down below and you can get a copy of that book. The team will send it over to you. But thanks again for watching episode 3. Luke, appreciate it, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See you guys on the next one.